Por eso es que a Juan,
That is why John,
el hermano Branham dice que en el libro de
Brother
los
Branham
sellos,
says that in the book of the
él dijo,
seals, he was told,
deja pasar eso,
John, let
no lo
it pass,
escriba,
don't write it,
porque
because
tropezarán
they'll
con el
stagger
Señor.
over it.
Y si
And
tropezarán
if
con
they
el
will
Señor,
stumble over it,
tú ves,
you
la
see
palabra
the
tropezar
words stagger.
es porque tiene
It is
que
because
ser
it must
por
be
medio de un velo de
by
plata.
means of a veil of flesh.
Y también cuando se
And
habla de
also when it
imitación,
speaks of
también
imitation,
es porque
it is
hay
also
velo
because
de
there
carne
is a
envuelto.
veil of flesh involved.
Si iban a tropezar
If
con
they were
eso que
going
Juan
to
iba a
stumble
escribir,
over what John was going to write,
pues era porque el
then it was
cumplimiento de lo
because the
que Dios iba a
fulfillment of what God
comunicar
was going to be showing
en la
and
iglesia
fulfilling
suya
in the
era
midst of
a
the
través de
church
un velo
bride
de carne
was through a veil of
que en la
flesh,
mente humana era
which in the
imposible
human being was
científicamente ver eso tan
impossible for
grande.
such a great
Lo
thing
que
to
iba a
be
dar la fe de
fulfilled.
rapto, la fe de
That which
transformación a los
would give the
escogidos
rapturing
que
faith,
podían
the
estar
faith of the
viendo
transformation to the
en
chosen
ese
ones,
tiempo
who
final
could see at the
ese
end time that
propiciatorio
mercy
en
seat,
donde
the
único
only place
hay
where there
misericordia
is mercy.
y
And
conociendo que ese ángel que
by
está allí
knowing that that angel that is
con las
there
oraciones de los
with the
santos,
praise of the
fíjense que hasta
saints,
dónde,
but notice
porque el trono que
where,
está en el cielo es de
because the
juicio,
throne that is in heaven
esas
is of
oraciones son
judgment.
añadidas,
Those prayers are
pero
added,
vienen a ser
but they
colocadas
come to
en
be
el
placed
propiciatorio
in the mercy seat
provisto por Dios,
provided by God.
o sea, un nuevo
That is a
propiciatorio.
new mercy seat.
Ahora todo eso,
Now, all of that,
como es
since
lo que estaba
it
en
is
el lugar
that was
santísimo
in the most holy
espiritual,
place of the spiritual
viene a
temple,
ser ahora
now
una
becomes
realidad
a
en la raza
reality in
humana,
the
como
midst
fue
of the
una
human
realidad el
race,
templo de
as it was
misericordia
a reality,
en
the
Jesús.
temple of mercy in
Vea
Jesus.
cómo el trono de
Notice how the
misericordia
throne of
entonces viene a estar
mercy then comes
en
to
ese
be
trono
in that throne
que antes era
which
misericordia
was
y
of
ahora
mercy
el trono de
before,
juicio.
and now is
Pero
a
que
throne
la
of judgment.
misericordia entonces
But that
viene a estar
mercy then
en
comes
ese
to be
trono
in that
humano
human throne
en este tiempo
in
final.
this end time.
Y en ese trono
And in
humano
that human
también es
throne
que está el juicio divino.
is where also the
O
divine
sea que está
judgment
el
is.
juicio y
In other
está la
words,
misericordia.
there is
Misericordia para
judgment
los
and there
escogidos,
is mercy.
porque tiene que
Mercy
haber
for the
misericordia
chosen
porque estamos
ones,
en estos cuerpos.
because there must
Y
be
está el
mercy
juicio
because
divino
we are in
porque
these
entonces
bodies.
Dios no
And
ve
there is the
a
divine
la
judgment
humanidad a
because
través
then
del
God
trono
doesn't see
de
mankind
misericordia,
through the
sino lo
throne
ve
of
a la
mercy.
humanidad, la ve a
But
través
when he
del trono de
sees
juicio,
mankind, he
porque viene
sees
el
it
trono de juicio.
through the throne of
Entonces
judgment.
imparte juicio,
And therefore,
pero
the throne of judgment
todavía
then
están los
imparts
escogidos allí,
judgment.
están mis hijos
But
allí.
wait, the chosen ones are
Entonces Dios
still there. My children are
guarda a
there.
sus hijos,
Then God
los
keeps
ve a
his
través de esos
children. He
ministerios,
sees them through those
protege,
ministries.
le da
He
entonces
protects them.
en
He
ese
gives them
tiempo de
then
noche
at
cuando se
that
estaban comiendo
time
ese
of
cordero
night
rápido,
when they were eating that
porque la
lamb
muerte
quickly
estaba por
because
aparecer
death was about to
y
appear.
tenían que
And
comérselo
they had
rápido.
to eat
El
it
ángel de la
quickly.
muerte estaba
The
por
angel of
aparecer.
death was
Ese es el
about to
juicio
appear.
divino, la gran
That is the
tribulación.
divine judgment of the great
Y,
tribulation.
y por
And
consiguiente,
therefore,
había que estar comiéndose
they had to be
eso,
eating that,
lo cual en este tiempo
which
es
at
la
this
palabra,
time
la
is the
revelación, la
word,
fe de
the
rapto.
revelation, the rapturing faith.
Comiéndonos rápido
Eating it fast
para que los juicios
so
divinos de
that
la
the
gran
divine
tribulación
judgment of the great
no nos toquen
tribulation don't
y Dios
touch
nos saque
us.
de aquí
And God
y
takes us
seamos
out
llevados
of
a la
here
cena
and
del
we are
Cordero
taken to
Perfecto.
the marriage supper of the
Por eso la
Lamb.
bendición
That
tan
is
grande
why the great blessing
que un escogido de
that a
Dios
chosen one of God
está
is
recibiendo y va a
receiving
recibir
and is going to
es
receive.
algo que
It is
no hay
something
palabras para
that there are
agradecer
no
a
words
nuestro
to
Padre
thank
Celestial
our
la
Heavenly
misericordia que ha
Father
tenido con nosotros,
for the
de
mercy
que
that He has
Dios
had
lo
with
volvió a
us,
enviar a Él
that God sent Him again,
para que
so
asimismo a
that
través
God,
de ese ministerio
through
que Él
that
dejó,
ministry that He
porque
left,
Él dice en un
because He
mensaje
says in a
que dejó los
message
ministerios de
that
Moisés y
He
Elías,
left the
y por eso
ministers
no
of
se va a
Moses and Elijah,
nacionalizar.
and that is
Y
why
damos
it will
gracias a
not
Dios que
become
William
a
Soto Santiago
denomination. And we give
lo
thanks to
permitió
God
que
for
ese
William
Espíritu
Soto
Santo
Santiago.
regresara
God allowed that
y
powerful angel to return
hiciera la obra
and to do
correspondiente
the
a esos
work
días
pertaining to
que Dios
those
le
days
permitió
that
estar
God
acá,
allowed him to be
que fue
here,
una obra
which was a
grande,
very,
pero
but
que muy grande.
very great work.
Aparentemente
Apparently,
fue el tiempo
it was
de quietud
the greatest silent
más grande que
time
tuvo ese
that this mighty
poderoso arcángel, ese
archangel, this
mensajero,
messenger had.
pero fue la obra mayor,
But it was the greatest
fue la obra
work.
más
It
grande
was the greatest work
que hizo
that
en la tierra
this mighty messenger
ese
did
poderoso mensajero.
on earth.
Fue ese tiempo que
It
pidió más
was
tiempo
in that
y
time that he
regresó
asked
en medio
for
de
more
nosotros.
time
Esa
and
fue
came
la obra
back
más
in our
grande que él hizo.
midst. That was the greatest work that
Ya
he
vamos
did.
a ver el por qué esa
Because
obra
we
fue
are going to
la
see
mayor
why that work was the
que él
greatest
hizo. En
work
el
that
lugar
he did.
santísimo
In the
no
most
se
holy
veía
place,
movimiento, no
there
se
was
veía
no
nada cuando
movement.
entraba el sumo sacerdote
Nothing could
allí.
be seen when the
Los
high
cuales era
priest
una labor
entered
para
there,
ese año,
which
un
was a
compromiso
work for
dependiente de
that
esa labor,
coming year, the
para
reconciliation salvation of the people depended on that work. But notice,
sabía lo que estaba ocurriendo.
no one knew what was going on in there. It was a complete
Ese
silence.
silencio
And in that silence was that God was doing and carrying out a work, the greatest work that God was carrying out at that moment was the work that the high priest was doing in the temple, there in the tabernacle of Moses and also the temple of Solomon. That work that the high priest was carrying out at that moment was the greatest one at that time of silence, where the people apparently was alone. They remained in expectation of what was going on there. Now, it is a great work, the one God is doing in the most holy place of the spiritual temple of the Lord, which is His church, in this end time. And it is the work which the adoption of His children, the adoption of the elect of God will depend on. And it is the most important work that God is carrying out in this end time in the midst of His church. Many will not know what is happening in that spiritual temple, His church. Even if they are present, they will not know. For it is the veil that blinds them. And since they can't see through the veil, then they cannot know what is happening in the most holy place. In the most holy place, only those who are from the most holy place will understand, will comprehend and seeing what is happening there because they have passed the veil. And by passing the veil, one can see what is happening there. The veil is always the instrument that God is using in every age and in every dispensation. To pass the veil, to cross past the veil, is to see that manifestation of God, to believe it, to receive it, and then you will automatically become a part of that work that this veil of flesh is carrying out in the most holy place. All of that is seen in Revelation 8 and Revelation 15, where the temple is seen open, and all that is there is seen. But all of that can only be seen by the chosen ones of God. When back then the veil was torn from top to the bottom, they could see inside and they could see the mercy seat, and they could see who was the one there from that moment on to fulfill the purpose for which that mercy seat came, which was Jesus. And the believers in Him at His first coming could see that mercy seat, could see what was behind the veil, because it was torn and it was opened. And now, at His second coming, when that veil is torn, open, the veil of the temple was open, as it says in Revelation 15, they can see and look who that new mercy seat is and where that mercy seat is. And they can believe Him, and so they can prepare for their adoption. Without this time, the knowledge of where the mercy of God is, and where the rapturing faith is, and where the promises are, and all the work that is being done, and all the work that God will be doing in this time in which we are living, without knowing that, then the person must go through the Great Tribulation. The same thing He told us, that if He didn't return and ask for more time, we would have to go through the Great Tribulation. And one says, but He's gone again. Well, He was telling us the great work He came to do in those days when God allowed Him to return, because our adoption and transformation depended on that work. He left in those days that He was here with us, the way prepared for the one who was going to continue that work, the relevant divine program to give you the rapturing faith. That is why He said, if I didn't return, you have to go through the Great Tribulation. See, the very important work that He did when He returned, because there was something that happened so that the divine program would go forward. And that scepter, that title deed, leave it here on earth, so that through the one to whom that title deed was given, the work would be carried out in the most holy place of the spiritual temple of the Lord, which is His church. Without Him returning, then we had to go through the divine judgment. But thank God that our brother William Soto Santiago asked for more time and returned, because in this way you and I can be here, enjoying the blessings while we are in these earthly bodies, preparing ourselves for our adoption, our transformation. It is the work of the most holy place, which God is carrying out in this end time, so that we may obtain all the blessings contained in the work of the most holy place. And that work is only being seen by those who will obtain the benefits of the most holy place. And it is the pillar of fire, the Shekinah. It is the presence of God that will be very soon in all of its fullness in all the children of God. Just like the day of Pentecost, that cloven tongues like as of fire sat upon each of them. It is from Him and part of Him that we will also receive, but not in the first fruits, but in all of its fullness. It will no longer be little rays of light, but it is the total light, the complete light, the Son of Righteousness, the whole essence of God in us. The blessings that God has for us is something so great and glorious that we can't say anything else but, thank you, Lord, that you have hidden these things from the wise and the prudent and revealed them to us. For so it pleased you, Father, so it pleased you, that I would be a predestinated, a child of yours, a chosen one since before the foundation of the world. For soon be in the image which we already are, and likeness, that is all in one body. We have the image, but we lack is the likeness. To the image and likeness of the God, creator of heavens and earth, we will soon be. So, God has blessed us greatly and will continue to bless us until His promises are fulfilled in us. The work in the most holy place. It is a topic that we gave this morning talk. And now, here I am with the button pressed. I was going to give a few words there to our brother Miguel and our sister Ruth over here, which I was talking with her, to also tell brother Miguel, there who is with him, about what we talk about this morning. I pressed the button to record that which I was going to write, because I was going to write too much, so I preferred to press the little button here of the cell phone to better record what I was going to write. And everything we talk about, they are blessings that God has for His children, for us. And we thank God for that. May God bless you, Brother Miguel, greatly. May God bless you, Ruth, also greatly. And all the ministers and all the brethren. May God bless you greatly. And may you continue holding on to the word, the message, in this preparation that God is carrying out in the midst of His people, which is giving us the rapturing faith. His word, in other words, giving us of Him, because God is word. And since we are also word, well, the word and the word are coming together. Heaven and earth are kissing. God and His children are coming together. Well, may God bless you. May God keep you. God bless you, Ruth, and God bless you, Brother Miguel.